The first Finance and Performance meeting of this term. We will start with apologies, and we have apologies from Councillor Hills for illness, Councillor Darby, Filipina, and Member Taipri for lateness. Any more apologies? I'd like to move those apologies. Seconded, Councillor Henderson. Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Against, carried. I've had no declarations of interest. No. There are no minutes to be confirmed. I've been aware of no petitions. I've been aware of no public input. There is no local board input being received, although I acknowledge that in the room we have Member Elliott from the Ōrākei Local Board. There is no items of extraordinary business. So let's start. We go straight into item 8, the disposal recommendation for 6 Clonburn Road, Remuera, and we bring to the table Letitia and Marion and Gary Jackson. Welcome, team. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sorry, microphones, please.
The property that we are recommending for disposal today is 6 Clonburn Road in Remuera. We are seeking approval to dispose of the site for redevelopment purposes. This is subject to the provision of a minimum of 200 car parks and quality design outcomes forming part of the redevelopment of the site. 6 Clonburn Road is currently a council-owned car park. There's a 2-level concrete car park structure located on the site which provides a total of 179 car parks. The car park structure has significant structural integrity issues. In March 2019, Auckland Transport made the decision to close the upper level of the car park due to these safety issues. In 2019, the Auckland Transport Board approved the transfer of the asset to Panuku Development Auckland for redevelopment, subject to the provision of a minimum of 200 car parking spaces. This is consistent with the current Auckland Transport parking strategy, as it would maintain the number of car parks in the area while allowing for future public transport routes to be future-proofed, as signalled in the RLTP. Panuku has undertaken the property asset rationalisation process to determine if there are any impediments to the proposed divestment of 6 Clonburn Road for redevelopment purposes. The Ōrākei Local Board endorsed this proposal at its September 2019 business meeting. Subsequent to the local government elections, we've also discussed this with the new Ōrākei Local Board Chair, and he supports the proposal, and Member Elliott from the Ōrākei Local Board is here today in support of this proposal. As no current or future public work has been identified for the site, it is now recommended for disposal to enable redevelopment. Should the site be approved for sale, Panuku will progress a redevelopment at 6 Clonburn Road that will provide a minimum of 200 car parking spaces, as well as quality design outcomes within any new development. We're happy to take any questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Questions, members?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Letitia. It was something that was brought up by Councillor Darby yesterday, but he won't be here at the beginning. And I had the same question around the requirement for 200 car parks, which is more than is already there. And given our climate change commitments and, increasing parking seems to be a bit odd, and I just wonder where that came from. In the report it says there's a requirement from the AT board required it, and then the local board a few months later then supported that. What is the evidence to support the need for 200?
Through the Chair, this is to enable the Remuera Town Centre to be future-proofed so that future public transport options can be enabled as set out in the RLTP.
So, excuse me, Chair, so does that mean as park and ride?
No.
So I'm not understanding how that meets any of our commitments to getting people, giving people other choices. And given that, that I imagine that the catchment has got a bit of a walkability, a bit more walkability than some others. I mean, I don't go to Remuera.
The proposal is intended to be car park neutral because it will allow for future public transporting options that there may be some offsetting of car parking.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I'll move if you don't mind. Seeing it's in. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Member Blair.
Oh, kia ora. Just need some clarification because is the land being offered up for sale?
Through the Chair, not as yet. We are seeking approval from this committee to make the land available for sale, but no negotiations have been entered into yet.
And who is the party that you're entering into the sale with?
Through you, Madam Chair, we haven't actually landed a negotiating partner yet. Our primary focus over the last couple of months was to address the health and safety issues on the site. We have received interest from adjacent landowners with respect to any integrated development on the site, but the development strategy is yet to be agreed by the Panuku board.
Okay. Would you consider, as one of those adjacent parties, the local iwi of Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei for sale to buy?
Through the Chair, yes, we would, and we will be notifying all iwi groups to inform them of the decision that this committee makes today.
Okay, so it's not a direct RFR to the local foodstuffs group that'll get the first bite of the cherry. It'll be everybody else as well.
Through the Chair, no, there's no RFR in place.
Thank you.
Councillor Coombe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kia ora koutou. I have a question that's related to the car parking. It was two parts to the question. One is, could you just clarify what the actual zoning is? Are there minimum requirements for parking with the development? I appreciate what you've said about why the AT board made it subject to the provision of the minimum 200 car parks, but could you just clarify what the zoning requirements are about that? And also I just wanted to highlight in terms of the climate impact statement, I appreciate that we're sort of getting underway and trying to get our heads around what that climate impact statement is all about, but it does seem a bit odd to have a disposal incorporating quite a high number of car parks without any recognition of what the climate emissions are related to that. So it has highlighted about the removing the concrete parking platform, but nothing about the activity itself. So there are two parts to that question, and the last part is about the impact statement and what further consideration was given to actually how you do some analysis around the impact.
Through the Chair, first part of your question, the zoning is town centre. Second part is there is a requirement to provide 45 car parks to the adjacent New World. That's by way of licence, and that's in place until 2028. With respect to emissions, because this is intended to potentially offset car parking for future transport routes, our thinking was it was emissions neutral, but take your point, and this is the first time we've done these climate impact statements, take your point that we should have been explicit rather than implicit in that.
So just to clarify, I mean, that would be really good to have highlighted that, because that's exactly the concern about we seem to be doing something here that's really contrary to the direction that we have set. But just in terms of the zoning, just to clarify that point about the zoning, so you said that the actual requirement is only 45 car parks that's required by the zoning.
So, through the Chair, no, there's a licence in place to the adjacent New World as part of its resource consent that requires council to provide 45 car parks. In respect of the number of car parks for the zoning, I don't have that information to hand, sorry.
However, if I could further clarify, there are approximately 180 car parks on that site at present. Yes, the upper deck is closed for structural integrity issues, but we believe that there still is no net new. There are no net new spaces, if you like. Therefore, no further impact on emissions. The town it is town centre zoning, and so it depends on really what the activity is there. There's quite a wide range of activities allowed within that zoning. But car parking, I guess what we're looking at is how we replace the existing car parking within that town centre, which is in line with the Auckland Transport Parking Strategy.
Thank you. Councillor Fletcher.
No, Madam Chair. I had my hand up to move the item or second the item if required.
I'm happy to let you do that, councillor. It's not on at all.
You wanted to still do it? No. Okay. Any other further questions? Great. Well, then I will move and Councillor Cooper will second the 3 recommendations. All those in favour say aye.